There we go. Hi, everybody. Thanks, Elizabeth. Welcome to day 6 of our guided warm-up. This is day 6 of KBHC, our final day. It's really hard to believe that we're here. It has flown by. So thanks for those of you who stuck with us the whole week, and welcome to those of you who may be new to the warm-up today. The final day is going to build on everything we've done, and going to push ourselves pretty hard. So one thing to remember is this is not just a warm-up. This is a warm-up, maintenance, and building session. So don't feel bad if you can't do all of these things. By all means, only do what you can. It's really just kind of designed to be aspirational in some ways to show you, how you can build a routine. So let's get started. We'll do our stretching and our breathing. First, as always, it's important to limber up before we play. So we'll start with our twisting. Here we go, 10 twists. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Now we'll do our fold over for 10 count. This is touch your toes. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Excellent. Now we're going to do our side bends. You want to take your left hand and grab your right wrist and pull this way for 10 counts. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Same thing the other side, right hand with left hand. Going to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Excellent. Now we're going to do our arm rotations. Get the lactic acid pushed out. We're going to start with backwards rotations. Here we go, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Excellent. And lastly, we'll do our shoulder shrugs. Just going to give ourselves a nice neck massage. Okay, backwards first, like so. 10 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now forwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ooh, I think I'm a little tight today from the long camp. That's okay. We'll do our breathing now, now that we're limbered up. So again, this is going to be the in and out breathing. We're going to challenge ourselves with the out breath in the end. So we'll start with 3:15, then 2:18, 1:21, then 1 count for as long as you can go. And see if you can do it a little more than yesterday. Okay? Here we go. 1, 2, ready, breathe. Good. Hopefully this is doing a little bit better for you now. Now 2 and 18. 1, 2, ready, breathe. Good. Now 1 and 21. 1, 2, ready, breathe. Now, one big old breath, and then out for as long as you can. Let's see what we get. 1, 2, ready, go. Yeah, okay. See if you can get into the 30s or 40s. Test it every day. All right, so now we're capacity breathing. Take a big breath like we just did. And we're gonna top it off for a little more. And we're gonna go out with a hissing. 1, 2, ready, go. Everything out. Next one. 1, 2, ready, go. Oh, sorry, I messed up. I was thinking the last one. 2, ready, go. Everything out. Good. And one more. All right, here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Good. Okay, so you learned the pop breaths yesterday where you just hold your hand up here. Like that. Let's try 3 of these, okay? 1, 2, ready, go. Huge rush of air in the body for these. Another 1, 2, ready, go. We're just sucking on our hand, trying to suck, 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 and all of a sudden release the hand. All the air rushes in. 1 more. 2, ready, go. Okay, ready to play. All right, first notes of the day, as always, and we're going to try to relax face. With my students, I sometimes talk about the idea of starting with a sleeping face. If you wake up, you're sleeping, this is just all relaxed, there's no tension. So maybe think about that, plus the ooh quality when you play. So a little free buzzing first, just to get started. Wherever it's easiest. Get some sound going. Now we're going to do on the mouthpiece. Maybe air attack it. Nice. And now pick your note. Open note on the horn is probably best. We're just going to start to listen to our sound and hopefully fall in love with our sound before we go on to other things. So air attack it. Are you ready? Good. Just listening for the sound. Make this very meditative. Be aware. Let's try it one more time. Try a different note. begin to reinforce this over the first octave of the horn, middle octave, that is. Again, try to stay on the F side if you want. You don't have to, but it does make it a little more challenging. It's good for us. Makes the professor happy. Here we go. 1, 2, right. Now D flat. D. E flat. E. F. Don't worry if there's little chips or things, just keep playing. G. E flat. A. B flat. 2. B. 2. Lastly, C. That one's more challenging, it's good for us. Okay, hope that felt good. Now, song of the day, last song. I thought I'd include the nice Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. So we'll just sing it, we'll buzz it, we'll play it, maybe create a little bit on it. We've been doing that this week. You probably all know this song, I am sure. But that's why it's important to include songs that we both know and maybe some things that we don't know. Probably some songs this week have been new and challenging to you. So, okay, first note. So you can sing along with me. We're going to be phrasing it, playing musically the way we want to play in the horn. All right? 1, 2, 3. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Nice. I'm sure you all sounded beautiful. I bet you some of you added harmony too. Okay. So now we're going to do it on the mouthpiece, just the way we phrased it on the horn, okay? 1, 2. All right, now let's do it on the horn. 1, 2, 1, okay. creatively, which is the way I want to think when I perform, which I think all of this should be designed for. It kind of goes to the concept of we're not just practicing, we're practicing performing, which doesn't mean playing perfectly or anything. It means we're in a mindset of communication, mindset of connection. And then to be creative, meaning like maybe improvising and composing kind of things. You could take it a little faster, like try some tempo things. Just a tempo change is creative. You could add some notes. Or just add a whole-blown blues scale to it. So go to town, have fun with it, and I think you'll find it will benefit you greatly. And take this mindset now to everything we do. We want to be totally connected to all these things in very visceral ways to make them the most useful to us. It's oftentimes very easy just to go through kind of a routinized process, but we want to have full intention in all the things we're doing, even the very basic, almost non-musical sounding things. So I just find doing that kind of thing really helps me with that. Okay, so now our final day of the Free Buzz Builder. Really just we're adding one more to what we did. Oh, and there's a mistake. I'm supposed to, no, it's right, okay, so we got it. And this is not easy for you to do, pick your own starting point that's easiest. Big breaths this takes. 1, 2, right? No. Good, you can just keep building that. So over time, you build the free buzz into a number of ranges. So now my free buzz got that octave. And by the way, free buzzing is kind of like playing an octave above on the horn, kind of. But also low range. That's a tuba.
Sounds pretty cool.
Took me a while to develop that, but it's been very useful. So, all right, so now the mouthpiece, the sirens, we are just going to do all the things we've done, those building of the sirens, and we're going to do it over the course of 3 octaves. So again, don't worry if you can't do it all, just try your best. That's where we start. And when we do the slurring, you want to do as slow as we can. This should take up all of our air, about this slow. So try to keep that pace. Try to go through every single sound, feel where the breaks are, but push through them. Let's try it. 1, 2, 1. Go down the octave if you want. So the more you gain control of the mouthpiece, the easier the horn's going to become, because that creates the raw input that we put in the horn. So you can buzz it, you can play it. All right, so we're going to use the same airstream now for the harmonic series. Now we're just going full-blown up and down, starting on the 3rd partial, and then going all the way down to the 1st partial. So I'm going to go a little bit faster, maybe 72. And this, again, this just gets us up. You know, we could spend a lot more time on these harmonic series. In the past, we have, if you've been to some of those sessions, clearly they can be utilized in numerous ways, infinite ways. But this is a great way, just without the valves and coming from the mouthpiece, to get our face up to the top of the register, you know, our full register, pretty quickly in the warm-up. I don't like to linger too long in the mid-range, because then my face becomes kind of adapted to the mid-range. So, okay, we're starting in 1, 2, and 3. That note is, I know it feels kind of funky, but we're all in this together. Here we go. 1, 2. Okay, next one. 1, 3, 2. 2 and 3. 2. One and 2. 2. One, two. Two, two. Open, 2. Good. That gets our face right up there. I'm not going to linger up there too long right now, but it just kind of says we're going to do that, you know. Okay, now we'll do our, what should be pretty fun for us today is to put the lip trill together from what we've built throughout the week. And what we're adding from the octuplets is now the full-blown trill. So up to this point, we've used this combination of air and you know, obviously lip flexibility. At the final stage of this, we need to use all of that plus a little bit of the jaw, probably. And so at this point, by the way, the jaw will not help you if you haven't developed it up to this point. It'll just sound not very good. So yeah, a little bit of that. A little bit of that motion at the very end. I'll start at the 16th notes. Oops, a little slower here. I'll start at the 16th notes and play into the trill flourish just so you can kind of hear it. We want to be really, really mindful of the subdivisions with this. All right? So here's 16th notes. 2, 1. Include a little Nachschlag at the end, because guess what? Trills don't happen in a vacuum normally. They're not usually just random back and forths of notes. They're usually diatonic, meaning there's some sort of voice leading associated with it. And this one is going to be going from the key of D concert, sorry, G concert to C concert. That's a 5 to 1. Do, 5 to 1. And so the A is the sounding note, and the B is the displaced note. So one of the mistakes people might make is they might put equal emphasis on the notes. This is a somewhat undesirable trill, I think, in a lot of our classical, music up until the Romantic time, because it sounds a bit, chaotic. So you really want to be focusing the sound on the A, which that's the actual note word. So if you do like a Mozart, that. So what we're really hearing is right? You want to hear? We don't want to hear it. That's not part of the voice leading. So to do that, you're focusing on the sounding. Does everybody hear that? So this is the same thing. The A is the sounding note, and the B is the displaced note. So let's do the whole thing together, starting from the beginning. 60 beats per minute. Take a breath wherever you need it. Don't worry if you can't get it right now. This has only been a week. This actually took me like a year of daily practice to do this on all those notes that I have at the end from the E to the G. So it's a fun process, but it does take a long time, but it's well worth it. Okay? 1, 2, okay. Sorry, I was thinking Mozart. I was thinking I was in the other key. I'll do that again. That's my bad. I should have wrote the A. So we'll start at the 16th notes once again. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Apologies, I was transposing my own music. All right, so have fun with it, add the Nachschlag on, and then one of the things you can do as you get better and better with this is you can just start the trill, go. Because we don't have, a minute to prepare our trills. This is just leading up to that point. So then the next phase would be starting the trill and also taking passages like I was just playing. Doing it next one, go. Do it in different keys. The passages that are in our music. Another one would be. So once you get really comfortable with the trills, start to just practice the music and those tricky passages in the music like exercises. Kind of create your own exercise, and then just create your own, of course, whatever you want. Okay, gotta get moving because we got a long way to go on this beautiful sound study. So I'm gonna push it up to 80 once again. Okay, so we are now going through the entire exercise. We'll be ending on the low or high C, actually going to a D as the upper note, and then we're going to go down to the E flat. So that should be going theoretically from D to D. So now, so we've got to stay on the F horn if you want. You don't have to. Let's do it. 1, 2, and A flat, 2. A sharp, 2. Turn the page. Here's A. 1. F, 2. E flat, 2. E, 2. B, 2. I'll move my page up just a bit. E flat, 1, 2. Big breaths, C. D, 2. D flat, 2. E flat, 2. Okay, turn the page. That's about almost halfway done here. Now on D, keep breathing big. Don't worry if it all doesn't come out, just keep going. 1, 2. C, 3. E flat, 2. notes are going to make the professor really happy. So pleasing a lot. Very important person. Here's the F. 1, 2, F. Pushing out there, take a minute to change the page, take just a rest. Yeah, I might need one. This exercise is so great. It works on strength, it works on flexibility, it works on everything. Okay, here's the G. 1, 2, 1, okay. Just a little rest. We're getting really up there right now. So don't worry if this doesn't work. Hopefully you'll feel better after time. I know for me, sometimes I just got to stop if it's not working. So let's try the A. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2. Quite big enough of a breath on that one. The low ones start to use a lot of air, so I'll try to breathe a little bigger to do it in one breath. Okay, almost through on B flat. 1, 2, 1, we'll try these last ones. I'm feeling my face is a little bit bleh at this point, so try it. You know, sometimes with these I might give it like 3 tries if I'm not happy with it. So we'll see we're time for that today. But okay, here's B. 1, 2, 1, 2. Slow. 2, 2. lastly, up to the very top reaches to the C. Let's try it. So go up to the D. Try different fingerings for that. You could use trigger 1 and 2, or even trigger 1 works well for the D, or if you're on the F horn, just open. All notes will work on open. Open. The combination you can always count on. Okay, 1, 2, 1. Whew, got there the whole week. All right, so now these last exercises should move pretty quickly. I know we're running a little low on time, but this chromatic scale, we're just going to build on it what we did before. At 60, 16th notes. Let's try it on the F horn first, and the B flat horn. This may not be preferable to you to do daily, but it's good for learning our fingerings. Okay, 1, 2, 3. That wasn't my best. Let's try it one more time for me. 1, 2, 3. That was better. Just added some legato to it. Now let's do B flat horn. 1, 2, 1. All right, that was hard. So now let's end with our articulated major scales. I think we can do this in 3 minutes. I think we can. So 60, pattern is, it's going to be okay. 1, 2, and G. D. A. Good. Rest up just for 1 second. My music. Here's E. 1, 2, and okay. Turn the page. All right, B. It's my fault. I wrote this for myself. All right, here we go. Maybe 1 or 2 more. We can get to stop in just a second. So just B. 1, 2, and Let's do one or two more. D flat. 2. Ready? Let's stop there. It's 8:50. I think we're gonna take a little break, and then we're gonna come back with Professor Randy Gardner. Thanks for joining us.
Hi. So we're back. Surprise. I mean, we're always here, but give us just a second while Randy gets himself set up. And Bernhard, is there anything you want to say about camp? Or John, is there anything you want to say? This is John. You probably know John, but just in case you don't, John, he's on staff. He's great. He's from Wisconsin. He has a lot of horns. He has a Tesla also. That's very fun. If you have any questions for John, you're more than welcome to ask them. But Bernhard, anything fun that you'd like to express about this week of camp?
What hasn't been fun?
That's true. That's true.
We've been doing French horn 24/7, and it's not got boring. In fact, today I'm really looking forward to teaching about staccato and slurring.
Lovely.
Yeah.
That's
In
a
fact, I'm doing that
big day.
for 4 hours today.
4 hours today.
Either means I'm totally crazy,
Well,
or that it is really fun, right? To get better on the horn.
I
Or
feel
maybe
like
both.
Yeah.
both are reasonable things to think. So great, very good.
How about how's it been? How's the new venue?
It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Working out well.
Yeah.
And when Bernhard said horn 24/7, pretty much we are all dreaming horn this
Yeah.
week too. So it
Yeah.
literally is 24/7.
I've had a lot of dreams about camp, even though I'm right here. Yeah, it's really good. Heidi, thank you for that plug. I appreciate it. And you can get these shirts. They're not any of the shirts that we're wearing right now because they haven't been printed yet. But you can get the shirts at Custom Ink, and I'll drop a link in the chat here in just a second. Probably right before Randy starts his thing. Sorry. There we go. Cool. Shirts. Boom. There you go. If you'd like to order a shirt, it does help us. It's a little bit of a fundraiser for us, but also, you know, we wanted to make these available because this whole Horn Camp Connect community has been so supportive, and really a lot of us, I think, have grown pretty close-knit over the last couple of years throughout the pandemic. So we wanted to make this something that could be kind of commemorative of this community. And, you know, not that we're going anywhere anytime soon. We have plans to keep on continuing with more Horn Camp Connects throughout the next year, but just thought it was time for us to have something to kind of show off our community a little bit. So anyway, I think we're about ready. Randy, are you feeling comfortable? Okay, so anyway, John, do you have any cool stories from camp that you'd like to share?
Cool stories. I've got some stories of getting set up for camp. That so our storage unit, we have about 40 bankers boxes worth of music, and we weren't sure what shape those were going to be in after 3 years in a non-climate controlled storage.
Yeah,
But
in the North
luckily-
Country of New Hampshire.
Yeah. And luckily it turned out okay. They were all sealed up, but there was plenty of evidence of mice running around. But we got through it all right.
Lovely. Thanks, John. Okay, great. All right, with that, I think we'll transition back to Randy. Randy, could you go ahead and start your video for me? And unmute yourself. Thank you all.
Good morning. Welcome to this session of Horn Camp Connect that's titled The Ins and Outs of Intonation. During this hour, I'll present some basic principles regarding the physics of temperaments and tuning, along with a number of exercises that develop refined hearing and excellent intonation. Now, before I get going, I just want to say how much I appreciate and enjoy Kendall Betts Horn Camp. It's a fantastic total immersion in all things horn. And so for so many years, I've been part of the faculty and I volunteer on the board of directors because I really believe in its mission and the many benefits that it offers to campers of all ages, campers from high school age to octogenarians, people who are, striving to be professional players, to those who just want to have a great time playing in a community band. It serves all populations, and it's just and everybody has a great time. And you will never find a more supportive community than KBHC. So I just want to add this word of enthusiastic support for Kendall Betts Horn Camp, and come on and see us in New Hampshire this summer. So before I get going, I just want to say a few general principles here. It's really, really important. It's crucial. It's your GPS system. It's crucial to develop a highly refined ear, and it's impossible to overdevelop your ear. And to play well in tune, you also have to be personally flexible. Okay. If you stand your ground and say, I'm in tune and everybody else get on board, what you've done is created an opportunity to be terribly out of tune. Okay? You have to have the personal flexibility to make adjustments and make them quickly. And great intonation is built by consensus. So those are some overriding principles to playing well in tune and playing in an ensemble that plays well in tune. Now, first of all, frequency is metered in hertz. Okay, hertz was named after the measurement of a hertz was named after Heinrich Rudolf Hertz, who really proved that electromagnetic waves exist. And so hertz is a measurement of the vibrations per second of a sound. Sometimes you hear it referred to as cycles per second. Okay? So that's a term we'll be using throughout here. A cent is the division of a semitone into 100 units. A cent is 1/100th of a semitone. We're going to be discussing equal temperament. Equal temperament is the division of an octave into 12 equal semitones. Okay? We'll be talking about just or pure intonation, which is based on the ratios of a harmonic series. Okay? Now, imagine, if you have a string this length and you pluck it, okay, you will get vibrations per second of a given frequency. Okay? We all know about A440. Okay, an A440 is an A that vibrates 440 times per second. Okay? You take that string and you cut it in half, the vibrations per second will double. Okay, so now you have A880. Okay, if you lengthen it twice, okay, you will have A220. What we're going to be talking about is the harmonic series that's based on the division of the entire range. And on the horn, we talk about having 16 basic harmonics for the range of our instrument. Now, that's just up to high C. Many people can go above high C, so we can add 16, 17, 18, whatever. And if you take a look at the handout for page 119, you'll see a chart that I'd like to discuss. There are two books that are going to form the basis of my discussion today. First is my book, Good Vibrations, Masterclasses for Brass Players. And the second is a book that's used universally. Many, many musicians of all stripes really have studied Christopher Luba's A Study of Musical Intonation. These two books will form the basis of my lecture, and you can refer to the pages from these books on the screen there. So as I point to the various pages or highlight the various pages, take a look at those. Right, now, the harmonic series, as I said, for all practical purposes for horn players, we discussed the first 16 harmonics, okay? The first harmonic is the fundamental, the real, let's say in F, the real pedal C. An octave above that is the next harmonic. Okay? That harmonic is low C. The next harmonic is G. You're going to fifth. The next harmonic will be a fourth, and you get to your you get to middle C. Okay, then you start going in thirds and not quite thirds, and sort of augmented seconds, and as you rise into the higher range of the instrument, the intervals get very close. I saw a great illustration on Facebook a while back that showed a keyboard similar to the horn range, okay? And it started with the keys in the low range being very wide apart, and as the range went up, the keys got closer and closer and closer and closer. And that's what playing piano would be like if it were based on horn harmonics. I thought that was a great illustration. Yeah, take a look at this chart. And if you look at the vertical line for each fingering combination, down the bottom, you've got your fingering combinations, okay? If you follow that line up, you'll see the harmonics all the way up to the 22nd harmonic. So again, octave, fifth, fourth, third, sort of diminished third, and so on. Then you go to the lower level, okay, the lower lines, you see the fingering combination, and you see the listing of each pitch that's on that harmonic series. If you look along the right side and top of this chart, you will see how this harmonic relates to equal temperament. So for instance, an equal temperament seventh harmonic, okay, is 31 cents sharper than the natural harmonic. That's a significant amount. You're talking about a third of a semitone. Okay? So take a look at this chart. It's helpful to understand how the natural harmonics of the instrument, what the natural harmonic tendencies are, because you can sometimes use this information for playing alternate fingerings. If you're playing very sharp on the note, well, do you have an alternate fingering that might work that's on a different harmonic series, so forth. When you're playing stopped horn, if the fingering isn't working well, what alternate fingerings are there for that given pitch? This also helps you understand what the alternate fingerings are, along with their pitch tendencies. So this is important information to understand. It allows you greater flexibility in your work. Okay, now we'll be discussing equal temperament and just intonation. Just intonation is a temperament that's based upon the ratios of the harmonic series. Okay? Then sometimes people will talk about melodic intonation, which is simply using, going with your expressive intent. Sometimes when I have a minor second that's going to be resolving in a certain direction, I'll temper it in that direction. Also, if I'm playing minor seconds, I like to hear the energy from that dissonance, okay? So maybe I'll play it closer to the primary pitch just to get that little extra zing to it. Okay, that's melodic intonation, where you're looking at the melodic context. We're really not going to discuss that today, but it is something to understand. And over the history of music, there have been many temperaments. There's been mean tone temperament and so forth. What we're going to discuss today, basically, is playing well within the discipline of just intonation. The reason for that is that in the orchestral world, in the band world, in the wind world, that's what we use. We get the greatest resonance of sound when we play in tune according to the principles of just intonation, okay? Anytime two notes are sounded, a resultant tone will result. Now, this is a term that's used interchangeably with difference tone. A resultant tone is the same thing as a difference tone. And it results from the mathematical difference between two frequencies. If you have a frequency that's 200 cycles per second, sounding with this one that's 100 cycles per second, you'll get 100 cycle per second resultant tone. If it's 800 to 200, you'll get a resultant tone that's 600 cycles per second, okay? And it's these resultant tones that we'll discuss lining up that give a sense of beautiful intonation and resonance, and also projects, okay? We're going to be talking about aligning those resultant tones, okay? Now take a look at the pages of Christopher Luba's book, pages 8 and 9, all right? Check those out. And you'll see the difference between aligning intervals according to the principles of equal temperament and aligning according to the principles of just intonation. Okay, so the first page highlights the tuning of a major triad according to equal temperament. The G is at frequency of 391 and change, the E at 329 and so forth, and the C at 261. You have three resultant tones in every major chord. You have a resultant tone between the tonic and the fifth. You have a resultant tone between the tonic and the third, and you have a resultant tone produced between the third and the fifth. Okay? When you hear beats in a chord, it's because the resultant tones are not lining up. Okay? So when everything lines up, then you get resonance, you get beauty, you get fullness, and the sound projects much better. Believe me, you can have a chord that's at a softer decibel level, but locked in tune, that will project far better than one that's louder, but not in tune, okay? Good intonation projects beautifully. Take a look at the page that discusses tuning a major triad to equal temperament. So as I said, you have these three resultant tones produced. If you tune according to the principles of equal temperament, and with the cycles per second that are listed there, between the tonic and the third, you have a resultant tone of 68 cycles per second. If you tune the third and the fifth, the E and the G, you get one that's 62 cycles per second. Between the C and the G, one is achieved at 130 and change. Now, realize that 130 is just an octave higher than 65, okay? As I said, when you move an octave, those vibrations will double, okay? So think of 130 simply as 65, okay? It's an octave higher. So essentially you would have resultant tones of 62, 65, and 68 all being produced simultaneously. And that's when you get the vibrations. That's when you get the beats in a chord, okay? Now move to the next page where you have tuning a chord to the principles of the harmonic series, just intonation, okay? If you look at the resultant tones on that page, okay, you see a resultant tone between the C and the E of 65, a resultant tone between the E and the G of 65, and a resultant tone of 130 for the fifth, right? So all those resultant tones are lining up, okay? They are coordinating with each other, and they're reinforcing each other. So that's why we really want to develop this sense of just intonation and how to tune according to the principles of just intonation. All right, that's most of the physics that we'll discuss today. Yeah. Now, I like to use an app on my phone that a lot of people do. It's called Tonal Energy. Okay, I use it as a tuner with a meter. I use it as drone producing. I use it for metronomic work, etc. It's a great app. As far as tuning drones, I actually like Dr. Beat, okay, because the pitch sounds more pleasant. I mean, and it also is stronger. You can crank it up. So I like I'm not getting paid to say this either. I like the model DB60. It's a small little tuner metronome unit, and it produces a good tone. So many of the drone apps that are on our phones sound sort of like dentist drills, and I'm not into that. Okay, so I really like this DB60 because of the producing, the tone it produces. Okay, yeah, so I just recommend that you get tonal energy for a variety of reasons, and maybe the DB60 because the pleasant sound of the drones. I use drones all the time. Okay, and when I warm up every day, I'm doing all of my arpeggio work to tonic drums. Okay? It keeps my ear at the pitch level I want. Okay, so you know I like to play 440, but let's say I go to I play in a variety of orchestras these days. Okay, well, Philadelphia Orchestra tunes at 440. I also will play in orchestras where they say the established pitch is 442. Well, guess what? Then in my arpeggio work, I'm tuning to 442. I'm getting my ears set for that pitch level. If you go to audition for a European orchestra, you know, some of them play at 445, 444. That's quite different, okay? Well, adjust, you know, adjust your pitch level. But anyway, number one, the drones keep my ear at the pitch level that I want it to be. And two, you know, then, you know, as I'm playing through these studies, these arpeggios, well, I might notice that something's out of whack and I need to adjust my horn, okay? And if I do it on a daily basis, it's all great, okay? If I were to let it go for a month, it may not be so great, I don't know. But it's a way of disciplining it. And the exercise that Bernhard just said, you know, put drones to that, okay? And if you come to a note that's out of whack, well, fix it and then put it back in context. You know, don't just blow past it, okay? So this is, in Good Vibrations, I've written about 5 what I call time savers. Well, this is one of them, okay? Tuning to drones, okay? Because you're getting more bang for the buck, all right? You're not spending any more, maybe a tiny bit more time, but boy, it's a lot more powerful. You're getting more powerful results from playing with drones. I also put drones to passages of music that stay within a certain tonality, okay? Because I want to tune to that harmonic structure. So I use drones a lot, and boy, I advocate the use of drones for my students all the time. Now, you may have been in an ensemble where, you know, you hear that you're not quite in tune, but you're not sure which direction you need to move, how you need to adjust in order to be in tune, right? So Bernhard is going to help me with this. He is going to be my drone producer. This works best if you play with another horn player, okay? It works best if you do this kind of drone work with a horn player because the sound is more obvious, but you can do this to drums too. Let me get my horn. So Bernhard is going to play with his beautiful tone, and he's going to stay on a pitch to be totally immovable. And no matter what I do, he's going to stay there. Okay? And I'll do something crazy.
Ooh, the end felt nice and
Yeah.
releasing.
Yes. And so at the end, you want to absolutely unify with the pitch and the dynamic and the sound. You want to crawl in your colleague's sound. You want to create one unified horn sound. Okay. Well, if you do enough of this, you'll come to an immediate recognition of the kind of pain that you're experiencing. You know, the timbre of flatness has a different quality than the timbre of sharpness. Listen for that tone color. Listen to, yeah, the kind of feeling you get. But you can immediately sense whether you are flat or sharp to a given pitch. You don't have to think. There's no thought involved. It's sensing the timbre, sensing the quality of sound of flatness versus the quality of sharpness. Okay. So step one is to do this pitch bending like I just did. Step two, after you're used to doing this kind of thing, is to live just a little beneath the note or live just a little above the note for a period of time. Have any of you ever heard the original Muppet movie? There's a great tune in there where Miss Piggy hangs on at the end of a song with a quarter tone that's luscious. Okay, let's just say. And sometimes I've taken my recording of the Muppet movie in the studio classes and played it for students, and they kind of cringe. They say, "Okay, this is like pitch bending." Anyway, but I'm gonna stay low.
I was gonna ask you a quick question about that though, because when I was experiencing that, like when you were going, you know, especially like the really sharp, you know, kind of sound, it really almost hurt. Like it was hurting my face. I mean, especially with the.
Sorry.
I don't
intend to do that.
I know you didn't mean it. I don't mean it as a. I don't mean you to say sorry. No, I don't know as an observation. I was just gonna say, like, you know, when we're dealing with this in an ensemble situation, you know, if this kind of thing is happening like in a horn section,
Yes.
I mean, not only does it sound not in tune, but the physical effects, especially for those playing higher parts, probably, right? I mean, lower parts certainly too, but the higher, needing more stability, it's really going to have a pronounced, like destabilizing effect, and maybe even can hurt the face. Is that true?
Sure. I can relate to that, and it'll also knock you off notes.
Yeah.
And after all, a missed note is simply a note that is so far out of tune to the harmonic that you intend to produce that it jumps to a different harmonic. Okay. Intonation and accuracy are inextricably linked. Okay? Again, a missed note is one that's simply so far out of tune to the harmonic that you're intending to produce that it jumps to another. Okay? Well, if you're in this kind of setup where you're experiencing the discomfort here, well, you know, you may very well jump to a different harmonic too.
Yeah.
You know? All right.
Because my instinct when you were playing is that really, because I'm like you, like I want to match you, and then it's like I can't. So anyways.
Yeah, I'm asking you to not.
Yeah, don't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you
Sorry,
have a question?
real quick, Heidi asks if it felt like you were playing into timpani.
Not exactly.
No, what happens with the timpani, especially if you're near the timpani, is that the timpani displaces a whole lot of air. Okay, when the timpani strikes, you know, there's a lot of air movement that's going forward. Okay, what can knock us off with notes from timpani is that air goes up our bell, and then it actually hits us in the face, and that's what will knock us off with notes a lot of the time with timpani. That's actually air movement coming into our bell and traveling up to our chops.
The vibration of the timpani is the strongest vibration in the orchestra.
Probably.
Yeah, the most intense.
Yeah,
I have the most trouble with bass drum personally.
That's just
Like,
loud.
I have a
Yeah.
bass drum just right in my belt. Oh.
yeah, it's the same effect.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, so one more time, you just stay put, and I am too, I'm just gonna move a little bit under.
Okay. Now it's a little crazy making.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. Now, one more
Same
thing.
thing? Okay.
I'm gonna go high. So do you hear the different quality of sound between the two? That's what you need to do, and be able to identify it immediately. Okay, so this little exercise can go a long way to helping you identify instantly which direction you need to adjust. All right, thank you, Bernhard.
Sure.
And we've got one more demonstration in a little while.
In a bit, okay.
In a bit.
A bit.
Very soon. Okay. Now, it's also important to understand what your slides do. Okay? Not all horns have the same configuration of slides. Some have a second B slide, some have an extra F slide, some have no extra B slides or F slide. So you need to become aware of what all the slides do. Obviously, this is your main slide, okay? And my horn, this is a row. That's my main slide, and this is pretty standard for horns. This is an F slide here, okay? That's pretty standard. But when you pull your main tuning slide, you are not affecting both sides of the horn equally, because the F side of a horn is longer than the B side of a horn. Okay, so when you pull a slide 1/4 of an inch, proportionally, you're affecting the B side to a greater extent. Okay? Which is why you have this F slide. Okay? So that allows you to compensate for the fact that the B side is being affected to a greater extent. So again, we're dealing with proportions here. This main tuning slide will affect the B side of your horn to a greater extent, and this F slide helps you compensate for that differential. Okay. Some horns, Kanye Ds, have an extra F slide up here, and a lot of people say to ignore it. Well, if you ever have reason for an extra F slide, you've got one. Okay? The easy way to find out what slides affect what horns is to take a slide out and go back and forth, use your change valve. Okay, so that's affecting both sides. Okay, when I hit the change valve, I went to the B horn, I got sound. All right, so that is only affecting the F side. You can, Paxmans have extra B flat slides up here. understand what all these slides affect. And one other little acoustical phenomenon dealing with proportions is that, you know, when you depress a valve, you're lengthening it, the natural horn by about 6%. It's not in inches or meters or anything like that. The horn is built on the basis of proportion. And the same as with a trombone, okay? If a trombone player goes from first position to second position, that's not such a big deal. But as you get further out, the distance between the slide positions increases because you're dealing with percentages of length as opposed to, you know, definite inches of length, that kind of thing. All right, so if you have an open, we have on a double horn, we have 14 natural horns. As it sits in F and open, you have a natural F horn. When you put down the second valve, you now have the length of a natural E horn. First, you have a natural E flat horn. And you go through the 7 combinations in the F horn, you go to the B horn, you have another 7 combinations. So this is an amazing device that puts together 14 natural horns. When you depress the second valve, okay, you have exactly the correct length to go down a half step. When you depress the first valve, you have the exact amount of tubing to cover a full step. However, because we're dealing with proportions, when you put down 1 + 2, you don't have enough length to play a precise step and a half, which is why 1 and 2 fingerings tend to be sharp, right? Because you don't have enough tubing for 1 and 2 to actually bring it down. Now we learn how to compensate for that by where we put the note, but third valve has precisely the amount of tubing to lower the pitch a step and a half. It's just that this figure doesn't operate so well, okay? It's not as facile because you don't have independent musculature here. You use muscles from these 2 fingers really to move that finger. All right, so 3 is a much more in tune fingering for a step and a half than 1 and 2. You know, you hear people say, well, 3 is a flat fingering for 1 and 2. Well, you could say 3 is an in tune fingering for 1 and 2. But it's an important thing to understand that 3 is an in tune fingering for a step and a half. We learn because of facility to play that step and a half most times by 1 and 2. All right. All right. Yeah, now, Bernhard, you want to come on back?
Sure.
When you're tuning as a duet, when you're tuning in a quartet, when you're tuning in a trio, whatever combination of instrumentalists you might have, balance helps project good intonation. If you want to produce the greatest resultant tones, you need to be balanced, okay? And if one voice is sticking out, it's taking away from the resonance. If one voice is not playing strongly enough, you're not going to get the depth of sound from the resultant tone or the strength of a chord, okay? So balance is a very important component here. Now I'm going to play an E on the top of the treble staff. Bernhard's going to play a G above me. And the reason I choose these notes is that you might even hear the resultant tone of the fundamental. You might hear a low C coming in from the fact that we are aligning those 2 notes. Then he's going to begin making crescendo, and he's going to get too strong. And then he's going to come back, and he's going to get too soft for the resonance of that interval. And then he's going to find that sweet spot where it vibrates wonderfully and with great beauty and strength. And I'm just going to stay put. We're switching drone roles. most resonant. So just, I'll play it again, and you just find that spot, Bernhard,
Sure.
and let it ring, and so that, you know, people can probably hear the result. I don't know whether it works so well on Zoom or not, but right here, the room is vibrating like crazy when it hits that spot.
Like a sound chamber.
Yeah, I mean, the whole room is vibrating.
Pretty close, but
Well, you did, and did you hear over here? I mean, my right ear was just going nuts.
yeah, it felt it too.
Yeah, and you know, I'm hearing, among other things, I don't know if it's projecting there, but I'm hearing that. And it's interesting. Acousticians, scientists debate long and hard about whether, in fact, resultant tones are in the air or whether they're produced within our ear. And there's really heated debate over that. I'm not going to enter that. All I'm going to say is you want to listen for it. Okay. And by being really well in tune and balanced, you're going to get those resultant tones. All right. Thank you, Bernhard.
You're welcome.
And you need to adjust something?
Just
Turn the
to
mic
take
down
it
a
back.
little.
Sorry.
Is that good?
Yeah, I think that's fine. It was just when the playing was happening, I think it was too hot. Okay.
Okay, minor technical adjustment here. Okay,
Thank you.
very well. And a good habit to get into when you're working with a group is to tune from the tonic chord, add the fifth, and then they add the other intervals to it. Get the fifth locked in first, and then work around with the third, and so forth. Now take a look at page, shoot, where is it? Okay, let me find it in my book. Yes, page 115, 116, 116. Take a look at Good Vibrations, page 116. And what you'll see is the distance that you need to make an adjustment from equal temperament to create intervals that are true according to just intonation and have the greatest resonance. Okay? So if you look at here, the interval of a minor second, okay, you want to raise 12 cents from equal temperament. Major second, you want to raise it 4 cents. Now look at the thirds. You want a minor third needs to be raised 16 cents from equal temperament in order to resonate the best. A major second, however, needs to be lowered 14 cents in order to resonate harmonically, okay, and so forth. So you see all these distance. Now, I put the perfect fourth with the mathematical element that if it's in a dominant seventh chord, it has to be lowered rather dramatically. Well, that sounds pretty far out when you play it by itself. But take a look at this chart, all right? And take a look at, I have something there called a studio exam, okay? This is an exam that I give to my students, and you know, I tell them that there's only one acceptable grade on this test, and that's 100%. You know, and basically they keep taking the test until they get 100%. But on what acoustical principle is equal temperament based? It's based on the equal division of the octave into semitones and so forth. But then, you know, be able to write the harmonic series and its tendencies, you know, and be able to answer those questions about how to adjust, you know, from equal temperament. Okay, now, does this automatically mean that you'll play in tune? No, but it means that you have in your mind, in your brain, the basic acoustical information. Then you want to use your ears to make the adjustments. And lots of times people will, stick with just the meter of a tuner, okay, on the tonal energy. If you, based now on the information that I've discussed, the difference between equal temperament and just intonation, if you play with a little tuner on your horn, or if you play with the tuner in front of you and try to tune everything by equal temperament, you're going to get horrible intonation, because we don't play by equal temperament. And also, you're going to get really well-tuned eyes. Okay? You don't want to play perfectly in tune with your eyes. You want to train your ears. Okay, you want perfectly tuned ears. Okay, and so that's where playing with drones is such a huge benefit. Okay, so yeah, I use my meter. Pardon me. I use my meter when I'm doing long tones, when I want to see if my instrument is in adjustment. I use the meter for long tone work. It's great for long tone work. And, pardon me. And one thing you can do for long tone work that's really powerful is to have the tuner's meter and then a decibel meter at the same time to take long tones from very soft dynamics to loud dynamics and back. And if you want to expand your ability to play softly, okay, you have objective feedback. If you want to get a tone that's down to 60 decibels, that's really soft. That's great. So today you're able to achieve 70 decibels. Okay, well, tomorrow you strive for 69. The next day you strive for 68. So you have objective feedback from the meter that tells you exactly how softly or loudly you're playing. If you want to develop your loud playing, then you listen to that core of the sound, and you want to have the core of the sound make the crescendo or the diminuendo. So you take it on up to 90 today, and you have a nice focused tone, and you've stayed in tune. Okay? Many people will go one direction or other when they get loud or soft. Well, having a meter and a decibel meter used simultaneously allows you to have that feedback. Okay? Am I staying in that happy place on my total energy while I make the crescendo, while I make the diminuendo? This kind of discipline enables you to achieve a very loud sound, a very soft sound, while staying perfectly in tune. All right? So I really love the meter for that purpose. Beyond that, it's drones, because you want to tune your ears. Yeah, now there's a sequence that I strongly advocate. It's another one of my time savers called Sing, Buzz, Play. Okay, take a look at page, and Good Vibrations. Take a look. I think it's page 112, yes, page 112 and 113. These are pitch patterns that were developed by a trumpet professor at Ohio University, whose name is John Schlabach, a fine player and teacher. And with his permission, I put them in my book. So you put a drone on a particular tonic, then you sing these intervals to that drum. First, the first exercise here, the ascending pattern. La, da, dee, da, da, dee, da, da. Okay, you sing the interval to the drone, making certain that you're hearing the intervals in tune. If you get on interval and it's not quite in tune, well, live there and make an adjustment until you are in tune with it. Okay? So you sing la, da, dee, da, da, whatever nice slow tempo you want to be able to adjust the intonation, okay? Then you buzz it on your mouthpiece. I like to say that the buzzing is like standing naked in front of a mirror. Everything is revealed. You see what you're actually putting into the horn, okay? So you sing it, and then you buzz it, then you play it on your horn, and you make certain that in all three aspects, you're playing in tune to those drums. Okay? And be patient. Okay? 5 minutes of this at every practice session pays huge dividends. And you know, it's gonna be a while before you get through all these patterns. There's no question about it. But if you can dedicate 5 or 10 minutes to doing this every practice session or at an alternate time during the day, man, your ears will really become fine-tuned. And it doesn't take any chops, okay? You're not burning any chops to do this. As a matter of fact, if you don't want to play at all and you just want to, it's embarrassing. If you want to just sing the notes, you know, your pitch will really develop very well. And your inner ear is your navigation system, okay? This is what tells the horn where to go. This is what drives the horn. There's a really good book that I like for playing with students or playing with anybody else. It's Intonation Studies for Two Horns by Bernhard Reynolds. And a number of these exercises begin on a pitch, depart from that pitch, and return to the pitch. Okay? So again, that's when I say you plug in, you plug a pitch, you find it where it needs to be, and you plug it into your GPS system. And the next time you go back to that same coordinate. Okay? So intonation exercises for two horns by Bernhard Reynolds. It's a terrific book. Now there's a little accuracy drill that I recommend, and we all need to play accurately. And so it's one of the challenges of playing our wonderful instrument. When I was in college, you know, I don't want to say inflicted a particular discipline upon myself, just but this discipline is described at the top of page 114. So I took Maxime Alphon's book 1 with no technical demands at all. And one summer in college, I spent working on this pattern that worked wonders for me to develop accuracy and also focus of attention. So I demanded absolute accuracy of myself, even to the point of a fluffed attack was a misnomer. Okay? And I required myself to play through 3 repetitions of these simple etudes with absolute accuracy. Now, if I missed the first note, I had to play through the whole etude before I could go back and try again. Okay. If I missed the last note the 3rd time, I had to go back, start over again. Now, this is also really good to do sing, buzz, play. Are you singing these notes in tune? Are you buzzing them in tune? Can you play them in tune? And particularly when you're buzzing them, if you can check yourself every 4 bars, every 6 bars, you know, am I actually, you know, hit a piano note or hit your tuner? Check to see if you've wandered from the pitch. If you have, then shorten the duration of the amount of time before you check yourself. If you've gone 6 bars, that's great. Well, hey, then you keep on going. If you've wandered before those 6 bars, well, check yourself after 4 bars. You know, have I wandered yet? You know. These etudes have no technical demands really, but you can use this as a discipline to improve your accuracy. Will you get frustrated? I guarantee it. There's no question. You know, I tell my students, I said, you know, at some points, yeah, you might want to throw the horn out a window. Okay, but you know, you live through that. you know, and as such, you only spend maybe 15 minutes doing these. If you do much more than that, they'll drive you nuts, okay? But if you can spend 10, 15 minutes doing these in this manner, I guarantee two things will improve. Number one, your accuracy. Number two, and because your ears are getting better. And number two, your mental focus. I tell you, this really fine tunes your mental focus. All right. Now, I want all of you to get your metronomes out. Okay, and I'm going to get my stopwatch out. I have a number of little drills I call 60-second drills. We're going to move into playing rhythmically well. There are two exercises that you can use to develop your sense of rhythm, your sense of pulse. Again, without playing, without burning any chops. You can do these in your living room in your easy chair, okay? So get your metronomes out. Well, I'm going to want you to use your tap functions on your metronome, okay? I apologize, that's an alarm that I can't turn off. So I'm going to time you for 60 seconds, and I want you to tap into the tap function of your metronome for 60 seconds, moderate allegro tempo, no, bum, 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 or any tempo that's, you know, moderate allegro tempo. I want you to tap so steadily that the variation is within plus or minus 2 beats a minute. Okay? So watch the numerical reading and tap for 60 seconds within a variation of plus or minus 2 beats a minute. Go. All right, stop. How'd you do? Now, I'm going to do this again. I'm going to put it on for 60 seconds again. This time, I want you to subdivide as you keep this pulse going. So now, instead of going bum, 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 as you do that, think bum, 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 whatever you want to do, whatever your tempo is, as you tap, hear a subdivision going on inside your brain. Go. Okay, stop. Subdivision works. Subdivision keeps us on target rhythmically, okay? One of my mantras is subdivide, 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 and subdivide some more, okay? Subdivide. It really makes all the difference in your ability to play rhythmically correct and together with other people, okay? One last little exercise here is I'm going to start my metronome on my app. Pull it up. It's going to start beating a tempo. I'm going to have it playing very loudly. In a little while, I'm going to lower the volume until it actually disappears. Then you keep hearing that metronome in your mind, and eventually I'll bring the sound back up and see if you're with the sound of the metronome. All right, so if you're with the metronome, that's great. If, however, you weren't, then simply lessen the amount of silent time that you have, and then gradually increase that time so that you are keeping that internal pulse steady. So, I've given you a lot of exercises to help you with both your intonation work, your ear training, and your rhythmic training. Okay? And especially exercises that don't burn any chops. Okay? You can practice these to great effect even without playing much. But the product that you will produce will be tremendously higher in quality. Okay? And you'll be able to play better with your colleagues. Conductors will like you better. And there are all sorts of benefits to this. And if you hit the audition trail, there are two elements that separate those who win from those who don't. And those two elements are intonation, playing in tune, and playing in rhythm. Okay? If you can play with a good sound and play in tune and play in rhythm, you're going to succeed. Okay? If you have the most gorgeous tone on the planet, but you're playing out of tune and out of rhythm, you'll hear "thank you," and that'll be it, right? So these disciplines are central to being able to play your best. Simply to play your best, whether you're auditioning, whether you're playing in a community band, whatever. Take these little exercises and work through them. Now, my final contribution here is to discuss some resources that I believe in. Okay, you have Luba's book, you have my book. You can see those on there. There's a new book that's just about to be released. It's going to be released on July 15th, written by Dr. Natalie Douglas-Branagh, right, who happens to be on our faculty here. She also happens to be a former graduate student, a graduate assistant of mine a number of years ago, and a student of Bernhard Scully's for her undergraduate work. So, there's, master's, and master's doctoral work. Anyway, she has strong connection with the camp and with us, but that's not the reason I'm advocating this book. Okay? She has taken a Fulbright period to study the Kodály method in Hungary, okay, at the Kodály Academy there. And she has made this amazing, revolutionary approach that's a synergy between the Kodály method and horn playing that strengthens your ear and connects your ear with the horn. It begins very simply and gets quite complex at the end, and it's being published by Oxford University Press. Oxford is going to publish it on the 15th of July. I personally think it's a revolutionary method, and I hope that horn players around the world grab this book and benefit from it. So it's called A Singing Approach to Horn Playing, published by Oxford University Press. Something else I want to mention is a tune-up system. Okay, there's a CD-based or MP3-based system of drones and working within chords and everything. It's a self-guided method for improving intonation. You can get it at tuneupsystems.com. Okay? Great method. And finally, there's a book that I recommend written by Bruce Adolph, who's on the faculty at Juilliard, that helps people learn to audiate in order to hear inside your mind sound. He actually begins by having people hear speech in their minds, okay, and moves towards music. Okay? Audiation is what we're talking about here. The book is called The Mind's Ear, M-I-N-D-S, The Mind's Ear by Bruce Adolph, A-D-O-L-P-H-E. So those are resources that I recommend to develop your inner sense of hearing and your ability to play in tune. Are there, in the remaining time, if there is any, is there a question or two?
Yeah, there are a couple of questions. Get back to them. Suzanne asks if there's a possibility of getting answers to the tests. So you're
basically they're in the two books.
great.
Okay, I mean the tendencies of the natural harmonics are in that chart in my book on page 119. The differential between equal temperament and just intonation are listed on page 116, and the information on resultant tones and such are found in Chris Luba's book, A Study of Musical Intonation. So you have the resources to find those answers.
Fantastic. And then Marcus Bertel is asking if there's a model of decibel meter that you would particularly recommend.
No, not particularly. However, I'm glad you asked that question, because one aspect of the decibel meter that makes an impact is you want to use an unweighted setting. Okay? So you're getting the raw data. When, say, people from OSHA go into a work environment and they want to measure whether a level of sound is harmful or not, they use a weighted setting because high frequencies are more damaging than low frequencies. And so the meter takes that into account in its readings. What we want is an unweighted setting so that what you're getting is just the raw data.
Great. Well, seeing no more questions, I think we can go ahead and wrap up for the day.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure sharing this information with you, and I really hope that you get great benefit from it and enjoy horn playing, and beyond that, love music. Love music, let it be part of your life, and have a great time. It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Randy. It's been great to listen to you today. Oh, we're still here, but thank you all. Thank you all for joining us today for Horn Camp Connect live from KBHC 2022. We're so happy you joined us to play and connect with each other. If you'd like to rewatch today's session or share it with others, you can find it on our YouTube page a little bit later today. Also, regarding Natalie's book that Randy was mentioning, A Singing Approach to Horn Playing, Natalie did a session a couple of days ago, which is also on our YouTube page, also titled A Singing Approach to Horn Playing. If you weren't here for that session, or if you'd just like to rewatch that one again, it's also available there. Join us on Monday. I think it's Friday right now. Yep, it's Friday. Join us on Monday for the next 6 days of Horn Camp Connect live from KBHC. The next edition will include or be featuring Stasia Sienna, who is our Alexander Technique faculty here. So it should be a really nice start to your week, really nice to start to your Monday morning. And I think Jesse will be leading the warm-up that day. Again, we have a whole full week next week of more Horn Camp Connect sessions. We hope to see you then. And in the meantime, have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye.